Live stream? We're not live streaming. Why does it think what is happening?
Mine
Does it?
just says record.
Okay, that's good because I would have been concerned. Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Whistlekick Martial Arts Radio, hosted by two consummate professionals who always know everything that's going on, and we never make any errors whatsoever. My
Never.
name's Jeremy, uh, co-host here, president at Whistlekick, joined by my good friend, co-host, director of many things that we work on together, Andrew Adams. Thanks for being here, Andrew. Always fun to get together and pretend we know what we're doing. I mean,
We
host
know we know
the
what we're doing.
world's number one top ranked traditional martial arts podcast. This will be an authentic episode. That's it. That's what we're doing. It's all about the authenticity. If you're new here, please make sure you head on over to whistlekickmartialartsradio.com. Check out everything we've got going there. There are over 1,000 episodes that you can listen to. For the last number of years, we've also had them in video. You can watch them. If you would prefer to read them, there are transcripts of just about every episode. There are a couple old ones that we never ended up doing, but all of the episodes do have full show notes, links, videos, photos, all that good stuff to get more out of the episodes. And for the Monday episodes, you can follow up with what people are doing and all that. And if you want to support us, check out the partner page. We've got a few partners up there, one of them being Marshalytics, the number one option for school management software, billing, attendance, all that good stuff. Great product, great people. Thank you to them for all of their support. Now, if you are new, you might also consider visiting whistlekick.com for all the things that we do. I mentioned Andrew and I work together on other things. Martial Summit, the number one 4 day awesome, 95% of it is free training, networking, and educational event, an entertaining event in the martial arts world, held in, well, this year it's going to be in Keene, New Hampshire. It's been in Keene, New Hampshire the last couple of years. All in weekend, all the other stuff that we do. Go to whistlekick.com, find all the stuff that we're doing. And if you love what we do, and if you're here, you probably love what we do, join the Patreon. patreon.com/whistlekick. Starts at $5. You get a whole bunch of stuff coming back at you. And to those of you out there who have stepped up and supported, we appreciate you. That was a long intro.
No, that was good.
No,
It
it
was a
wasn't?
great intro.
Okay.
No, it was a great intro.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you. I felt like I was on a roll. It's like,
Yeah, that
bam.
was
One
going
of the
through the
dogs,
things.
one of the dogs just heard me snap and looked at me. He's like, "What are you doing over there?" Yeah, yeah. I'm dog sitting. Hence the different background.
Which you can only see if you're on YouTube. Which make sure to hit that like and
That's true.
subscribe button. It really helps us out.
Or Spotify,
That's right.
which is actually called Spotify, but I'm going to call it Spotify.
Because you're Sean Connery.
Spotify.
He puts one
Cricket,
of your
not Spotify.
he puts one of your men in the hospital. You put one of his in the morgue.
I like the brogue at the end on that. That was nice.
Yep.
Morg. That
I
was a
mean, here's
little
the
bit of a
reality.
trill there.
Here's the reality. Sean Connery has a cool voice. I don't care. I
He
just don't
does.
care. Like
He does.
anything he says is cool, right? Here's his shopping list. Ready? Glass of milk, carton of eggs, cheese, Oreo cookies. It's cool.
Okay, hold on. Who's buying milk by the glass?
Okay, you're right. You're right. He's not buying a glass of milk, but glass of milk.
Can you imagine like a drive-through milk restaurant where they're like, "Here's a glass of milk."
I mean, they have drive through everything else.
They
So
do.
who knows?
All right. If anybody out there knows of a drive-through milk restaurant, I want to know about it. I'm not going to go because that's weird, but I do want to know if it exists.
You know what else you can drive?
A lawnmower?
Lawnmower.
Sometimes.
Sometimes you
Did you
can, not always, but you can drive them.
did you know that when I was very young, one of my first chores was mowing the lawn. I was
Mm.
responsible for the flat portion at my
Hmm.
childhood home at about age 8. And when we got a self-propelled mower, I spent a significant amount of time trying to find the right balance so I could stand on it and hold the bar. So I could ride the self-propelled mower because I was light enough, but I
Interesting.
couldn't make it work because it would dig in the back and it would just chew up the grass. I couldn't distribute my weight, like I couldn't surf on it and
Mm.
hold it. It just wasn't. Now I'm old enough now. I would know how to retrofit those wheels. I have those skills. I could do that, but I'm also wise enough to know that is a terrible idea and I'm not going to do it.
Well, and instead, you're old enough to realize rather than standing on the mower, you should create a platform that you can stand on while being behind it.
Well, that is also better. Yes.
Yeah,
And I'm also more likely to just go buy a riding mower because of cup holders,
that's true. You're right.
because
Yep.
it's all about the cup holders. Now, today's episode is the martial arts of mowing your lawn. Now, what does that mean? We could take some really kind of contrived surface level examples. Well, you're walking and that's exercise and that's good for you. Okay. We could also talk about, I don't know, if you're pushing the mower or walking behind it, you could kick while you're doing it. Could also talk about, well, actually, I'm going to stop there because the other examples I have are not contrived. But as we're recording this, it is May. It's May of 2025. It is a time that people are mowing their lawn. Andrew and I were
Hmm.
talking about cutting the grass. I'm looking out over this beautiful lawn here that I'm not going to show you, just to respect the privacy of the home that I'm in, staying at a friend's house watching some dogs. And they spend a lot of time cutting the grass
Hmm.
because it's a big yard. And I think when we spend enough time training, we can see not just the application of what we do in our actions, but we can start to see everything as martial arts.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's a lot of, at least for me, I'll speak for myself, there's a lot of synergy between
Mm,
martial arts and, for me, mowing the lawn.
yeah. Now, the place I'd like to start, it was actually the idea, kind of the genesis of this topic, is the discipline of it.
Hmm.
Let's be real. I don't know too many people who say, it is the most beautiful day. It's been a long week. I have 27 social engagements with family and friends, all of these wonderful things that I could go do, but I'm going to choose to mow the lawn because it is the top of my list. It is the thing I most want to do.
Yeah, yeah. There are people who may enjoy mowing the lawn, and I'm one of
Mhm.
those people. But if given the choice, go hang out with some friends, or go to the beach, or go swimming, or whatever, or I get to mow the lawn, it's not going to be the lawn. That doesn't mean I hate mowing the lawn. I
Right.
like mowing my lawn, but you are absolutely right. It's not at the top of my list
So why do you mow the lawn?
because it needs to get done. If it doesn't, then it's not an enjoyable place to hang out. You've been to my house, you've seen my
Mhm.
lawn. It's
It's a good sized yard.
it's not massively huge, but it's a good sized yard, and
Mhm.
it's nice for entertaining. We've got some picnic
Mhm.
tables and other lights out there, and it's a nice place to hang out. But if
Sure.
the lawn is not mowed, it no longer becomes a nice place to hang out.
Right. So I'm actually going to adjust your language a little bit. You said it needs to get done. It doesn't need to.
Fair. It
It's
needs to
it's a
get done.
it's a want, but it's a want because of the benefits on the other side.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. If we want to enjoy it as a usable space, it wouldn't be enjoyable if I didn't mow the lawn. So to me, that's why it needs to get done. But I get what you're saying. The
And
word's
that's
there.
where discipline comes in, right? And
Hmm.
I felt it was important to hit that point because a lot of what we do in our training, you could describe it in the same way. For a lot of people, basics,
Yep.
those fundamental things that we do are things that there's a almost a reverse bell curve, right? Bell curve, the middle is at the top.
Hmm.
A reverse bell curve where early on in your training, everything is new, so people are excited by everything, including the basics. And for most people in their martial arts journey, at some point, and those of you out there, let's admit it, most of you can say this about yourself at some point. Maybe you're saying this about yourself now. We're doing this again. Why are we doing this again? Do we really have to do this again? I already know this, right?
Yep.
And so
Yep.
that's where the inverse comes in. So the enjoyment of the fundamentals goes down, but then most of us reach a point where we recognize, ah, this is actually what it's all about.
Hmm.
that the fundamentals are the foundation, the base. And we've used the metaphor, the taller you want to go, the more solid your foundation needs to be. So even if it's not enjoyment for the same reasons, right? When we start, it's new and we tend to enjoy it because it's new. But as we've been doing it a long time, we enjoy it because we appreciate what it does for us and allows us to do. And I think that that is how I heard you describe mowing your lawn.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. I would agree. I would agree 100%.
Discipline. There is discipline in mowing your lawn. There's discipline in a lot of things, but we're talking about cutting the grass right now. How about details? Do you trim or weed whack or edge or whatever you might call it?
Um, I do not as I'm very thoughtful of what I do. I don't go around my entire
Mm,
outside of my yard, um, and weed whack. But we've got a couple of stumps in our lawn from old trees we had to get down. We had to cut down, and I will trim
mm,
around those.
sure,
Around the. Sometimes I will move our picnic tables and then mow underneath it, and then put the picnic table back.
mm,
Sometimes I'll just, if I'm quote unquote getting lazy, I don't feel like, or I don't have someone to help me move the tables, I'll just mow around the picnic tables and then weed whack, come around with the weed
sure.
whacker afterwards. But I don't do all of the edge all the way around the property because it is a decent size, and that part is not as important to me.
It's input versus output, right?
Hmm.
It's if you are training forms, you're probably not spending the same amount of time on each one.
Hmm.
You're probably more focused on certain aspects of certain forms or certain forms in certain ways because the value proposition of the in versus the out matters. You could go around, you could trim the whole outside edge, and there's a lot of linear feet
Hmm.
of edge because you've got that fence that doubles back and you've got a bunch of stuff there in your backyard. At the end of that time, was that the best use of your time? Was that the most disciplined use of your time versus what you find valuable?
Well,
Probably not.
and again, I'm talking about using our backyard space as a place to congregate and hang out. So I do weed whack around the fireplace, because that's where we hang out. I don't hang out at the edge of the fence, like right on the edge of our property on the fence. So that part is not as important to me. But the fireplace, we do hang out by there. So I weed whack down there.
You might be watching or listening to this and saying, well, Jeremy, you should be practicing all of those things. You should be disciplined enough to train all of your forms every time. And okay. So you do all of the things all of the time in every class? No, of course not. You're making decisions. Whether you are showing up to the class and someone else is making decisions for you as to what's happening in class, or you're the instructor, you're deciding what's happening in class, there is a decision. There is a value there towards an end goal, right? Like what I'm hearing you say for your goal, Andrew, you mow the lawn because it gives you a place to use in the summer socially
Hmm.
in a way that is important to your family.
Yeah, absolutely.
Every martial arts system, school, instructor makes similar decisions about how to use the environment. You could not mow your grass, and it could be a huge garden.
Hmm. Yep,
That
sure.
would be another way of treating that space.
Hmm.
I could teach Taekwondo or karate or those are the only things I would really feel confident in teaching. I could teach um, how to put Legos together, all in the same environment. But I make a choice as to what I'm going to teach, not just as a system, as a curriculum, but as individual classes towards a goal. There's a desired outcome there.
Yeah. And the space can be utilized in a I'm talking my space, my backyard. I'm talking about socializing with friends, but I can utilize that same space to do a lot of different things. So
Yeah.
the process of doing this one, what some would call chore, mowing the lawn, serves me many purpose, gives me many, there are many reasons for me to do it. Right now we're talking about socializing with friends, maybe having a barbecue, but sometimes I'll have people come over, or I'll just want to train outside on my own, like do my
Right.
forms outside. So it is a
Yeah.
space that serves multiple purposes.
Yeah. In the intro, I was kind of throwing out some counter examples. And the one that I got to, I said, no, I need to hold this, is awareness.
Hmm.
Awareness is absolutely critical in our training. Awareness is pretty important when you're mowing the lawn. Now, I don't just mean don't run over your foot, don't run over people, don't run over animals, frogs, snakes. Hopefully, you're not running them over. Sometimes you do, it's accidental. But here's the one that I'm thinking of. And even if it doesn't happen to you, it's happened to your neighbor. You hear someone hit a rock and it makes that very distinctive sound. And what does everybody do? Right? There's a cringe moment when you hear that. Oh, even if the mower keeps going, you're oh, right? In the same way that you've watched someone take a shot or a fall in
Hmm.
training or in competition and you go, that hurts. Now,
Yep.
in this case, we're talking about it hurts the mower. The
Yeah.
mower's probably okay, but there's still a visceral reaction to
Yeah.
that sound.
Well, and depending on what kind of rock it hits, sometimes that rock will get thrown,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, there's a safety issue.
there's a safety issue. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Don't mow over big rocks and point them at people. Here's the question. When you're driving down the road and someone's mowing the lawn and the discharge chute is facing into the road, do you move into the other lane if you can?
Um, it has nothing to do with the discharge lane. If I see someone mowing their lawn,
You do
I
it
always,
regardless.
yeah. If
Yeah.
unless I'm already on the other side of the street.
Yeah. Yeah. If I can, and actually this just happened yesterday. Yeah. Yesterday I drove from Maine to Vermont and there's somebody who was out cutting the grass and I noticed the discharge chute shooting into my side and I was like, I'm moving over. What's the chance they're spitting rocks out? Pretty slim, but it's not zero.
Yeah,
I've got the opportunity. Let's be safe.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't
And that's an
even,
at. Go ahead.
and I don't even look at where the chute is. I just see
Yeah,
a person
you do
mowing
it
their lawn.
regardless.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and that's and I'm not going to say that people who don't train don't do that. I'm sure plenty of people do,
yeah. Hmm.
but to me, that's a martial arts principle. I'm taking awareness and I am anticipating risk and I am mitigating the risk beforehand. And this is the same way if you talk to someone about self-defense that doesn't train, what's the chance that's going to happen? What's the chance that person on the mower pushing the mower is going to kick a rock out? It's pretty slim.
Hmm.
Unless they've newly spread a bunch of rocks, all those rocks are probably already gone,
Yep.
but it's not zero. Doesn't take a lot to mitigate. Let's just deal with it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Now, can we talk a little bit about the act of being the person behind the
Sure.
mower or sitting on the mower? I don't happen to have a riding lawnmower, so I'm behind pushing it. Um, for me, as I mentioned at the outset of this episode, I actually enjoy mowing my lawn. I do gain pleasure from it, both from the act of when I'm done, I feel like I've accomplished something, but it is one of the few times in my life where I can't be distracted by much of anything else. I can't hear my phone ring. I've even tried to put in like earbuds to listen to music. It's not loud enough to hear over the mower. So it is literally just me and the constant hum of the mower. And it is one of the few times where I really get to think. I don't have any other distractions. I'm just going this way and I'm turning around and I'm going this way and I'm turning around and I'm going this way. And I
It's
don't,
meditative, is what I'm
yeah,
hearing.
yeah. And I don't get that a lot in my life from day to day. My phone is always on me. Even if I'm in the car driving with no one else around, I could turn the radio off and just sit there and think, but the phone could ring and I'm distracted, right? Um, and the reality is I don't often do that. I will have a podcast playing in my car and I'll be doing stuff or I'll be on the phone. So when I'm mowing my lawn, it's just me. And the last school that I trained at, not my current school, but my last school, we, after every class, we would clean the dojo. And I know a lot of schools do this, but in Japanese, it's called sojido, which translated means mindful cleaning. And the instructor has said, like, when we're cleaning, it is actually not meant to be you're mopping the floor next to the other guy mopping his side and you're hanging out and you're talking. It is meant to be not 100% silent, but this is your chance to reflect and think about what you trained today and use that time for you. Yes, you're cleaning the floor or you're dusting or whatever, but this is your chance to really concentrate on what you learned today. And
Yeah.
for me, that's mowing the lawn. That's my time to think about what's going on, and not just with training, but in life.
Yeah. 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 I think I've had a similar experience. And even if I do have headphones in, if I'm listening to music, because I grew up cutting grass for quite a few people in my neighborhood. It's how it was my first job was cutting grass.
It
And
wasn't selling candies at school, hard candy.
no, this was before that.
Okay.
This was before selling candy. No, I started cutting grass for money at like 12. I was riding my bike places to cut grass. I had one client that was 10 miles away. My mother would drop me off and I'd ride my bike back after.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was a hike, but when you're 12, what else are you going to do to make money?
Yep. Yep.
And if you're listening to music, it's probably music you've heard before. So there's an element where you're a little bit detached from it and your brain starts to wander in the way that you're kind of talking about, you know. And the martial arts correlate that I'm thinking of is slow sparring. If you are going appropriately slowly with people that you trust, you can disconnect a little bit and let your body respond. Now, if you're brand new to training, this doesn't happen. But if you are moving slowly, disconnected, your body is just kind of doing its thing, which is not always what you want, but sometimes that is what you want. You might have a conversation with the person you're talking to, or maybe your mind is wandering. Maybe you want it to, or maybe you don't want it to, but it's happening anyway, right? Like there's something to be said for that instinctive motion, because I'm sure, Andrew, when you get to the end of do you mow in rows or square?
Yes.
Okay. So when you get to the point where you need to make a turn, you don't stop and look and go, okay, I'm here. I need to go over there. One, because it doesn't take that long to make that decision. Two, you don't even make that decision anymore. You probably have a routine for it. You go
Yep.
and you're not even thinking about it. It's just what happens. In the same way that when someone throws a punch at your face, you respond to it in some way, hopefully.
Yeah. Um, for me, I actually I'm a bit of a nerd when it comes to my lawn. I mow the lawn up and down one week, and then the next week I mow it side to side, and then the next week I go diagonal, and the next week I go the other diagonal. And the reason I do that, and this is really dumb, I recognize this, and I'm a little weird about it, but if you always mow the lawn in the same direction, uh, my what I always worry about, and I have seen it, but if you're always mow the lawn in one direction, your wheels push the grass down, and it doesn't actually cut the grass. And so if you always go the same direction, I don't want those that grass to keep getting longer. So I mow it in a different direction the next time, and then a
Sure.
different direction the next time, and then I have a nicely manicured
So
lawn.
my preferred way, my favorite way to cut the grass, and this is much more difficult to do on a rider, is I go this way, and let's say that my outer fingers are the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
I will come back and make sure that the wheel paths overlap.
Sure.
So there's a little bit. So there is a little bit of a loss of efficiency there,
Mm-hmm.
but it does exactly what we were talking about. It tends to bring it back up. And if you're mowing slowly enough, you're good to go.
Yeah. But that's how I personally do it. I've never
Watch
had
this be the most controversial episode we've ever done.
I've
People
never
people are gonna write in. They're like, "This is not how you cut the grass." We're gonna get diagrams and everything.
I've never had a riding lawnmower, but I suspect if I did, I suspect a basically square or circle. Like I would just do rotations, because unless you have a zero turn lawnmower,
Yeah.
you're not going to do rows because it's difficult to do. Um, Now it's interesting. Right now, I'm missing out on mowing my lawn
Right.
because, for those that don't know, I've had an ankle surgery, and so my mobility is hindered, and so I'm not able to mow my lawn, and I kind of miss it. I kind of do.
Yeah. Yeah. And how does that relate to you training and not training and missing your training?
Oh, it's absolutely the same. I
Yeah.
miss not being able to train. I haven't been. Okay, pause. I do train somewhat at home, little things here and there.
Yeah.
Certainly training my mind. I'm still thinking about and
Sure.
talking about doing martial arts stuff, but going to the school and working with other students, I don't do at all, and I haven't since the middle of February. And
Right.
it has been difficult for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And a lot of us have experienced that with injury, right? So I think, what I'm thinking of here, and I don't know if there's anything else we so much want to put on the table, but I would be remiss now if I didn't acknowledge that I suspect a number of our Chinese martial arts friends are saying, well, it's kung fu. It's all kung fu,
Mm,
right? The way that you approach cutting the grass can be the same way that you approach cooking a meal, uh, hiking a mountain, etc. It's all um, the definition that I'm not a Chinese martial arts practitioner. The definition that I've heard that I like the most is good hard work,
hmm Yep.
right? And cutting the grass is hard work, but it can be good hard work. You don't
Yeah.
your choices on the hard work are whether or not to do it.
hmm
Your choice on the good is I think the more important part. If you're going to do it well. If it's worth doing, it's worth doing well.
hmm
And I think that is probably the most important part for all of us. And I suspect that everybody out there, if you start to look at martial arts as gung fu, as good hard work, you probably have a number of things in your life that you approach in that way. Maybe not all of them. I know plenty of people that don't approach their cooking that way. I know people who don't approach cutting the grass or cleaning their home in that way. But everybody I know has something outside of training that they approach in that way.
Yep. Yep. I would agree. Absolutely.
Cool. Well, here's to wishing you some good hard work cutting the lawn or making dinner or
Cleaning the bathroom.
cleaning the bathroom. Yeah, okay. I take pride in that when I do it.
hmm
Yeah. Well, we take pride in the show, and hopefully it shows. Hopefully you enjoy your time with us. If you're here, if you've watched or listened this far in, you certainly did. And so here's what we're going to ask of you. Please consider supporting us via Patreon so we can continue growing the show. It's not, let's be real. We've been doing this long enough that if you don't join the Patreon, the show's going to continue. It will still be here. But if you like what we do, if you look back and you say, wow, this show has gotten better, things have progressed. They continue to find new ways to improve. If you want to support that improvement, that does require resources. And your $5 a month or more, because there are further tiers, does help us do that. So please consider patreon.com/whistlekick. And Andrew, at some point you and I need to talk about what the threshold is for taking that next step.
Mm.
Because actually, you know what we have talked, I know where that is. And we are doing quick math, we're something on the order of like 15 people contributing $5 a month to making that change. It's not far off.
hmm
And so when we've done that, what's going to happen? I'm not going to tell you specifically, but I will tell you this. If you are in the Patreon, you will receive significantly more value at no additional charge. Because that's what we do. That's how we run things here at Whistlekick. Andrew, what else do we need to tell them?
They should join our newsletter. We have
That's right.
a new newsletter.
Yeah. Yeah, and what are they going to find in there? What is in that new newsletter, the new Squared's letter?
So they're going to get an email that's only about this show. It's not all Whistle Kick. It's just this show. You're going to find out
Not just
information.
this episode, but martial arts radio.
That's correct. they're going to get information on every episode that gets dropped. They're going to get access to a free book, which is really cool. And then we're going to start posting some behind the scenes stuff. I created a 15-minute movie remake of The Karate Kid that's going to be coming out
Well, that's right.
later in
It's
June. I
so fun.
promised
It's so
people that
fun.
I would put that out there, and you're only
Yeah.
going to see it if you're in that newsletter. So
Yeah.
go to
Um,
whistlekickmartialartsradio.com and hit the subscribe tab at the top.
Direct links to the episodes. We email you the day it comes out. It's the fastest, easiest way to make sure you don't miss anything that we do. All right. Thank you to Marshallitics. Thank you to Kataro. Thank you to all of you. Thank you to Andrew. Thank you to the dogs.
Thank you to the
Thank you to
grass.
thank you to the grass. Thank you to the blue sky. Thank you to everybody who makes this show what it is, everybody on the team and everything. So we appreciate you. And that brings us to the end of another episode. But if you're going to miss us, make sure you go back because there's another 1,000+ episodes. In fact, there's so many episodes that even if you have watched or listened to them all, you've probably forgotten some of them. So you can do it again. Until next time, train hard
Smile.
and have a great day.